Sorry. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Hi, Gerald. Good morning. And warm welcome to David for CAD team. And hi, Ian. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
Yeah. Good morning. So I'm Ram Kumar. So welcome to the sprint review. So let me share my screen. Okay. Is my screen visible to all?
It is to
yes,
me.
that's fine. Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah. Okay. So sprint 22 review. So first I have in this sprint I have taken two issues. So first one is AUD 810 language selection is not clickable on the first tap on app installation. So that is when the user installs the app for first time, uh, the language selection is not clickable. So you can see my screen, right? So now the user have installed the app for first time. So now the issue was the user cannot able to tap on the language. So now he can tap on anywhere. So now I'll start on it. So this was the issue and it was fixed. So do you have any query on it? It was fixed in both iOS and Android.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. So the next issue I have taken is AUD 643 tracks breadcrumb jumps to the wrong page. That is the issue is, let me explain with an example. So I'll go inside a course, focus on grammar. So now I'll download the free sample audio. Yeah. So the issue was after downloading, if the user starts to play the courses for the first time, that is, I'm just playing the course.
Exercise 1A.
So, okay. So after playing the codes, that is tracks or units, if the user press on back button, actually it was wrongly redirected to courses page. That was the issue. Now it was fixed. If I click on back button, so it will be redirected to the tracks page of the particular unit. So it was fixed in both iOS and Android. So do you have any queries, Gerald?
No, that's good. Good one as well. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So that's all from my end. I'll just give it to Errol.
Yeah. Hello everyone.
Hi, morning.
Morning everyone. So just let me shut my screen. So can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, we can see
Can you
that.
hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So coming to my issue AUD 819. So this was regarding the JSON for the submit app, submit courses. So the pronunciation boosters and test checking skills were earlier given as a separate unit at the end of each level. So now we have edited and made the changes to the JSON to make the pronunciation booster and test checking skills at the end of each and every unit. So let me show that. If I download any unit, so just give it a minute. Okay. Meanwhile, while it downloads, I'll just explain the other issue. AUD 759. So in the storage settings storage page, if you add the total MB of the downloaded units, it will not be the total units on the disk space. So there was a little bit difference on the settings page. So if I go to, so earlier it would be there will be slight difference. Like if the unit size is 26.0 MB, then on the top progress bar it will show around 26.03 or 26.3 MB like that. So there was a difference. So now we have corrected the difference by adding the total MB of the units and displaying it on the top as well. So this issue is also now fixed. Earlier, earlier at the top it was displayed using adding the individual tracks. So due to that round off, some difference was there in the disk space MB. So now that we have changed it to by adding the total size of the units, individual units. So now that is fixed, AUD 759. So coming back to 829. So at the end of this unit, you can see here pronunciation. Those tracks starting with 6, 116, 617, 618. So these are the pronunciation boosters, and at the last it is test checking skills competition. So this will be like for every unit at the end it will have some pronunciation boosters and test checking skills now. So that is for AUD 809.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So that's it from my side, and now Mahalakshmi will continue.
Right.
Hi all, this is Maha here.
Hi, Maha. Hiya.
I'll share my screen now. Is my screen visible now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
If you're pretending to be Ram Kumar, yes.
Sorry, Gerald.
That's okay. Yeah, I can see the backlog. Yeah, is that right?
Gerald, regarding AUD 821, the story is regarding no internet connection pop-up should be displayed for level purchase. I'll show you here. This story is regarding the pop-up before if we click on restore or buy button, or even if we click on download, when internet is not there, we'll not get any pop-ups. Just it will be the spinner will be displaying to the user, and after the implementation of pop-up, we'll get now there is no internet connection, so we'll get please check your internet connection and try again. You can check it for even restore and also for buy button.
Okay. So are those new messages? Do we need translations for those?
No, Gerald, it's not necessary.
It's not new. Okay.
It's already implemented for download, I think so. So we have again reused the code. So we don't want translations.
Okay, good.
Any queries regarding this, Gerald?
No, I think that's very clear. Thanks.
Thanks, Gerald. I'll hand over to Nina.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Thanks. Hello? Anybody there? Ian, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Gerald. Yeah.
I think we've lost Chennai, have we?
Everybody's on mute now. They're all on mute. I can hear you, David.
Yeah, Kapana, are you there?
Yes, Gerald, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. We thought we'd lost you for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start with AUD 653. Is my screen visible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the issue is we have to cancel while the download button is clicked. If we want to stop in between, we have to cancel the download. So the issue is not fixed actually, the functionality is fixed. You can see the loading button, the X button we have got from Nina, and on click the functionality is working perfect. But we are working on the UI part.
Okay.
It is not aligned properly actually. Even the X button is getting loaded. I mean, it is even rotating. So that should be handled.
Yeah. So the X should be static.
Yeah, it should be static, and the progress bar alone should rotate. And working on it. Other than that, the functionality is done.
Okay. Okay. That's quite neat, that little thing. I quite like that actually. If it works, so that's good. Okay.
Welcome.
All right. Okay, we'll take that forward. That's fine.
Hi, Gerald. Gautam here.
Hi, Gautam.
Yeah. I had taken one minor bug in this sprint alone. As you may have known, my laptop is under some technical issues.
Yes.
And the thing is that the camera view is coming in the background when the full screen button is clicked. We had a QR code right in that. We had reported one bug, which is like when the full screen button was clicked, the camera view was showing in the background behind the video. So it's in progress, and I wasn't able to finish it because of some technical issues. Actually, it is done in iOS, but then in Android alone, it's remaining as of now. So, I want to take it in the upcoming sprint.
Sure. Okay, that's fine. Good. Okay, is that the lot then? I think, is that the lot?
I'll just give it to Kalpana.
Yeah, thanks. Hi.
Okay, I'll just share my screen now.
Yeah.
Shall I give complete sprint, Gerald?
Yes, please. Yes, please. So just for Ian and David's benefit, I mean, this was a short sprint. We did a 1 week sprint because I was off and we didn't actually have the prep time to get into this new app, which is what we're going to talk about now. So, so we did lots of tidying up and various bits and pieces because so I came back, we went straight into a planning session. So, okay. So, are you guys, shall we talk about the new app? Yeah, because
yes,
that's
sure,
going to be everything we do in the next coming weeks and months. So let me just if I just share my screen.
Okay.
Hang on. Share my screen. I just want to right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So just as a reminder to everybody, this is kind of what the new app is still as a schematic. This is what we're trying to do. So we've got a registration come account element, which is in green, the link through to here. We've got then a table of contents type thing where we can from various points here link and basically play things. So whether they're audios, videos, or activities. We want a local sort of grade book, very, very simple grade book, so that if you got 2 out of 10, you try again, you get 4 out of 10, those sorts of things are recorded just for the student. We got a little dotted line through to analytics. So what's happened in the last few days is, thanks to Ian, is we're seriously looking at the options. And those of you, I know everybody's looked at our working document, of the different actually approaches that we might take to doing this work. And we had 4 options. One was completely start again and build everything afresh. The second one was to extend out the Pearson Go app. And then the third and fourth options was to use, the third one is really to use eReader Plus as, I'll call it a framework, as basically everything within this pink box plus everything within the yellow box. And that's really what I want to talk about a bit later. The fourth option, which we have to cover, is Pulse. But I think anybody who wants to look at that document, you can see it would, Ian and I put together in terms of the pros and cons, in terms of what, the strengths and weaknesses of those different approaches. And we think Pulse is, there's elements in Pulse which aren't sufficient for what we want to do. So the one we really want to focus on from a POC kind of spike element is the eReader Plus. Now, does anybody in the team, do you guys know anything about Reader Plus? Because I think it's developed in Chennai, some of it.
Gerald, actually, we were just exploring things online, but we couldn't use the app because it was not available for our country, I guess. So
No.
we were able to use it.
Okay, so the key element is that they supply an SDK, which, and I've within the Epic, and you may not notice this, I've put some various links through in terms of some of the documentation. So the major push in this next sprint is going to be investigating Reader Plus, because we really want to evaluate whether that's that's the right tool, can do what we want it to do. Because we're not going to use it as other people have used it, almost like a textbook. We want to be able to use that content, but importantly, put in links to do everything that's in the pink box. So to be able to actually run these activities, run the videos, run the audios, and that sort of content. So I think my view, and this is very simplistic, is we have in fact a wrapper, if you like. So these things still exist. We still want to be able to do this bits and pieces. Reader Plus is Rumba, has an integration with Rumba, which is our sort of prime identity management system at the moment. So that would work out quite nicely, especially in terms of the other parts of the content. Is going to be for the product is going to be using identity management, which is Rumba in the short term. So I think this bit would stay the same. What we're really saying is these two bits in terms of looking at how and when those would work. So we're going to use it. We're proposing to use it slightly differently. So it's not like publishing a textbook. We want to almost break down the product into smaller pieces that we can potentially download, but it has got a download manager, which is quite nice. So I think most of the effort is going to be investigation, and mocking things up and just seeing if this would work. And I think it's where we probably need the help of Ian, and also to engage with people from the Reader Plus team, if necessary, to actually iron out some of these parts. So that's a brief overview. What we kind of have a target is that we want to get a working model together. So that's something that's very skinny, which would actually allow us to investigate these various integrations without actually trying to build a whole app. So taking a very simple line through this user journey, if you like. So that we can actually, each time we have one of these integrations, that we can be happy that we as a team know how to do those integrations. And the content itself, that's going to be the major piece of work. That's not our piece of work. That's going to get done by the content team, remember, our publishing team, with these capabilities. So we need to coordinate those only in terms of the output and the thing that we would actually expect to receive as content. And the idea is, once we've proven and are happy that the proposed solution will meet those, then it's a question of them building out that content into the structure they want. And we would have the knowledge that whatever is built, provided it's built within the right framework, I like this EPUB kind of world, that we should be able to download and play on the device. So we're quite nicely decoupling, the application itself from all the publishing activities and things that go with that. So that's a bit of a quick rattle through. Any questions at this point?
Okay.
Yep.
Hi, Ramkumar here.
Hey.
So as you mentioned, so in this will be taken kind of like a POC and Spike, as you told, right?
Yes.
So our query is mainly concern is, see, as the document you have shared, right? So if you see Reader Plus and Pulse, it is basically a native app, and but it is just sharing the hybrid SDK.
Yeah. No. So
Reader...
forget Pulse for the moment. Okay. So we're going to have Reader Plus as our content framework, if you like, to actually play the. Yes.
Gerald, we're not saying we're going to have it, are we? We're just saying we need to actually look at all these options.
Yes.
There are 4 different options. Build it from scratch. Use what we've got from the audio app. Create something maybe from Reader Plus. I agree with your statement about the Pulse app does look like just a native app that's going to be very hard to reuse any particular bits of it. The Reader Plus does have an SDK that allows it to read EPUBs. That's the bit we're quite interested in. But I'm sure there are many things as well in the current audio app that would actually work. I think the particular things, although you've focused on content there, Gerald, because I think it would be nice to get that one proved out early. There are quite a few things that we need to prove as part of a POC that we almost need to do a Spike for.
Yes. Okay. So the first, yeah, absolutely. I think the reason, it's probably obviously real reason we want to concentrate on the Reader Plus thing is because we have this big dependency in terms of the content creation. I think the reason to prioritize that, to state the obvious, is that we can actually then establish that, yes, this is what we want to go forward with, and then the content creation teams, publishing teams, can actually get their head round in terms of what they need to do to provide that content in that format. I think that's got the bigger dependency. Things like the registration and those parts. Yes, we need to spike that out and investigate that. But I think at the moment the biggest question mark is if we, let's say the first one we're going to evaluate is eReader Plus, on the basis establish that yes, that is the appropriate solution, and if we're happy and it meets the criteria, then I think there's a good rationale to say we'll go with that as an approach.
And there is an SDK for it. I'm trying to get the details of it. I've not been successful so far, but it's not just a hybrid app. So it is an EPUB player. There is an SDK. It can be embedded in different applications. It's already used for the existing e-reader application, and it's already been embedded into the Pulse web application. So it's really looking at the SDK, not looking at the app as a whole.
Yes. Yeah. So I think, what I had in mind is that, we would start in this coming sprint to actually build out this working model, because there's some bits that you guys can do fairly readily, like create a new app, that sort of element. There's some bits we could, initially almost like mock up, like this registration login and things like that, until we build the back end. So there's some front end things I think we can do to start to actually then have something that does resemble a real application as well. Yeah. On the basis that by the end of the exercise we will have actually investigated these different things and have something that is a working model that we can then not only show to people, but more importantly, build out for these different elements.
And maybe even fork the existing audio app and add these things into it and say, actually, this is how we will do. I mean, interactive activities is the one thing that's missing, isn't it? That's the real big, how do we do that? Make sure they can be downloaded.
Well, and this registration and all that bit, yeah. That's
the next bit as well.
Yeah. So I think guys in Chennai, you know, it's kind of a lot of this is going to be for you guys to come up with good ideas in terms of how best to do that. I mean, I'm painting a picture, the picture that's in my mind in terms of this app, in terms of how these things might work. But I think, you know, we're really going to rely on you to kind of work very closely in terms of, you know, investigating these different areas in a sort of fairly short, sharp way with the spikes and things, so that we can, you know, we can knock off any doubts or queries or questions, work with the other teams if necessary to get more information, with the Reader Plus team or with the PEF team, identity management, that side. So the actual goal is, you know, in short, sharp, but sort of tasks, validate the proposition, I suppose is probably the best way of putting it. Does that make sense?
Okay, Gerald, and sorry again. So as you mentioned, we have that is 3 options, right? That is, we need to reuse that 4 options. That is, we need to reuse Pearson Go app, Pulse and Reader Plus, or we need to start it from the scratch.
Okay. So the top option right now is Reader Plus. Yeah. So let's, because we can't, you know, if we're going to split if we investigate all of those. So I think from what Ian and I have seen so far, we think that Reader Plus is if it does what we think it's going to do, then it's the best option. Yeah. But we need to prove that. Yeah.
But I think it's also worth saying it's not necessarily one or the other. You know, we may be able to take the best bits of all these applications to create something, if they already exist, or they can be borrowed, reused. I don't know. But we really wanted to see this as a little bit of analysis of all the capabilities that we want this new app to have. And here are some apps that actually already have a lot of it and do it in various different ways. We obviously need to solve this problem and create an app that does everything. The preferred solution is not just to build everything from scratch, but to actually reuse the things that we've already got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wherever they come from. And as Gerald said, we've looked at Reader Plus to quite like some of the things that it does. So we'd quite like you to have a look at it, take a look at it, understand the content format.
And so, yeah, we understood actually. We'll go through the Reader Plus app. So the thing, as you have mentioned, is that is Reader Plus is native app, but it is using hybrid SDK. So team is suggesting that can we use? Is it like that? That is, we'll be using the hybrid SDK, but we'll be developing it in the native, as what Reader Plus is done. So that it will be
easy for us to include the Reader Plus. If in future, if Reader Plus, if we are going to integrate, as it is already in native, it will be easy for us to include it.
My understanding is, although their application, their wrapper is native, their SDK is effectively hybrid, is a web application.
Yeah, I think it's agnostic actually. That's
my preference will always be to have a native, a hybrid app. It becomes very difficult to manage multiple apps for iOS and Android alongside each other.
But sorry, that is the thing is actually the main disadvantages will be maintaining the 2 code base. But if we take performance wise, so just team is suggesting it will be better if we develop it in native. No, because just we'll be taking the same SDK what they have integrated in Reader Plus. Then we'll just add a wrapper as what they have done.
Yes, in effect. But I mean, there are things in Reader Plus like the download manager and all sorts of things which we would definitely want to think about using that. So yeah, I think if you think of it as a wrapper, that's a bit of a simple way of putting it. But yes, that we should use the SDK to actually then access the capabilities as well as the content. Yeah.
Okay.
And Gerald, here. One small thing, we have got the Reader Plus APK from some test user login so that we can log in and use that.
Yeah, so Ian's been talking to, what's he called? Is it Shabir? I can't remember. What's his
Shabir and is there a Balaji as well, isn't there?
Balaji, yeah. So Ian's been engaged with them in the last weeks, really. So I think, yeah, we need to work with them to get access to this SDK and get more information. I mean, there is a Neo page, which is what I'm trying to show here. Yeah, which again I put the link in. So there's some good sort of high level kind of overviews in terms of what this thing is and how it should work. So again, it's a kind of an exploratory thing so that you guys can get your head around this if you don't know anything about it already, or even if you know just a little bit. I've spent a little bit of time looking at these things in the last couple of days, so it's quite accessible in terms of that information. But I think it's difficult for me to tell you guys exactly what we need to do to evaluate this. So I think I'm relying on you guys to come up with a sensible list of or an approach to how you might want to do this. You know, getting access to the thing, getting that whole element. I think it'd be great if you guys could actually, you know, talk this through. I mean, we can have another session tomorrow, daily if we need to. Because I can very easily state, yeah, we want to actually evaluate this, but I'm not sure from my position what you guys need to do, and I think you're best placed to actually say that and come up with that.
Okay, Gerald.
And I do actually have access to upload content, upload EPUBs, and then actually see it on the web version. I don't actually have a the app version of it yet, but I can go through all that. We do have an ELT test environment for it, or a test login, test school. So perhaps we can organise another session, maybe tomorrow, Gerald, to just go through that. You'd probably be interested to see that anyway.
Yes, I would. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
In the meantime, I've asked for access to the SDK. I haven't got it yet, which is a bit of a shame. I don't know how we can push that more, Gerald.
Okay.
No, where does Shabir work? Is he in Chennai?
No, Shabir's in New York.
Oh, okay.
But I'm then unsure. I've never spoken to the team in Chennai.
No.
But
do you guys know, is the Reader Plus development team in Chennai? Do you know that? Anybody?
They are at the TDC, but I don't know who it is.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we don't know where it is.
Pulse alone is in the CTS.
Yeah, but the Pulse alone, the CTS is developing there in Chennai section.
He's also saying like it's also in Chennai.
We are not sure about it.
Okay, so I think what we'll probably need to do very, very soon is to have a discussion with Shabir and anybody, Balaji, whoever, to kind of let them know what we're thinking of doing as well. So we get them into the party so that we get their views in terms of what we're trying to do. Because I say this isn't the standard book publishing type world. You know, we very much want to use the capabilities, but in a slightly customized way, I suppose is the best way of putting it. But Ian, I think they're open to that, aren't they? For sure.
I would certainly hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at a demo. They were doing a CAD demo about. I think it should be doing it about the downloads, breaking it into small pieces, and all the things we were talking about yesterday. So, yeah, I don't think it's a million miles away from what they're thinking they can do with the product.
So Balaji was saying that. Sorry, Shabir was saying they're already going to be doing that, was he?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, not seen that.
They've already done it. I think it was the April product release notes things actually.
Okay.
Okay. Good. So if we jump now and look at the epics and things. So yeah, I've tried to use this. So we've got these documents which I know some of you have been in and looked at and whatever, which is our kind of working notes. So I'll just split this down into a number of stories. Yeah, well, I wouldn't call them a story really. They're kind of areas of tasks. So there's a whole area which is kind of where we're trying to identify the POC work. that we need. So registration, embedded the content, an offline record store, analytics, splitting these things, download, multiple products, product entitlement access code. So again, that's a kind of just a general overview in terms of the different modules, if you like, that we have. This is the main task, which I've just been talking about, which is the evaluation of eReader Plus and the SDK from our perspective, i.e., can we use this and integrate it into our development world? Yeah. And then we've got so create a new app. I think is something you should be able to do relatively easy, which is is either clone what we have already or build whatever's easiest, so we can start to actually think, okay, we're going to have something we can start building out from. Login and registration. I don't expect any of you to know anything about Rumba, so that's fair enough. But again, with Ian and some of the other guys' help, we can actually go through in terms of what that really involves, and it's going to be almost like a web page for the within the app, which will do the login and registration.
In fact, do you guys know about the dashboard?
As mentioned,
because Gerald, it will be part of the dashboard registration, won't it? Not its own.
Yes.
So it will be effectively that. So then in that story, whether it mentions it'll use the dashboard and the ELT and dashboard user services for login. Although they use Rumba, it sort of abstracts Rumba from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe Gerald, maybe if we get the details of that AP, so whom we need to contact for that Rumba AP or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think all of these we can make those hooks. The download manager, which I put in here originally, and then I suddenly realised that Reader Plus had its own download manager. So that's definitely something we need to look at. And this kind of build the working model really, which is so there's kind of aspiration that by September we could have something where we've investigated all these things and we've put together, well, a prototype, I suppose we might call it, but we've got something that actually could show the user journey kind of from end to end, even if some bits are mocked up, but we know how to do those bits that we've mocked up. So it's going to be very much an explore phase for the coming weeks in terms of with this in mind, to say, actually, if we said in September we want to give a demo of all this stuff working with a bit of content that's been provided, so that we can prove and validate that the solution is correct before we start really building it out. Okay. And then the one, we've always had this one sitting around, Google Analytics. I've also discovered a little while ago that there are some sort of analytic capabilities within Reader Plus as well. So again, that's a whole area that we need to actually discover. Yeah, and we had some stories, so that's something for us to work on, but that's obviously a lower priority. So this is taking shape. It's very much work in progress in terms of the tasks, etc.
Gerald, I've just added the link into the chat. You might want to add it to the student login and registration. If nothing else, it's just familiarise yourself with the registration process for ELT that I was talking about. Okay. David, that is actually developed in Poznan, so you'd be quite close to those guys to see what they've actually done. They're they create those services. Sorry?
You mean the registration part, yeah?
The registration of the user services, yes.
Okay, all right, okay. I remember from good old days the name Rumba, so I still remember that.
Ah, you've been here before.
It's still there. Yes, yeah. It's got the scars, I think. Okay.
That's true.
And again, a query, Ian and Gerald. So here we are going to use the same dashboard, or we'll be using the API alone?
So the dashboard uses the APIs. I would not expect you to be rewriting, for instance, the registration flows. So a user would register via that dashboard flow because it's already there, even if it was just via a web view within the app. And then login and authentication may be done via the services, may be done via the flow. I'm not really sure yet. That's probably up to you to decide. But reuse what you can. Certainly the UX will all look exactly like that. The idea is to have consistency, so it doesn't matter where a user registers, they register once regardless of what applications they use.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they have registered already before they get the app, then you know, the username, password, whatever side will just basically establish who they are. But the other end, you got the fact that people haven't registered before, and therefore they need to do that. So the way the product is going to be sold, interestingly, is the basic product is going to be a book plus the mobile app. Okay, the premium product is going to be the book, the mobile app, plus the My English Labs online one, the full thing there. But that's going to be more of a premium product. But the basic offering is going to be the book plus the app. So we kind of should expect that people won't necessarily have an account with Pearson. So yeah, we need to be either they've already got an account with Pearson or they haven't. And then, as I've said before, once you're in and you're registered, then that state persists within the app, so that you don't get forced to log in every time from then on in, unless you decide to log out, I guess.
You say that though. Oh, I see what you're saying. You mean you're actually logged in the app, and then the app can keep you logged in?
Yes.
I understand.
Yeah.
Just so it knows who you are, really, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the main.
And actually, that's worth actually saying, isn't it, that registration process that you can see from that link actually lets you add products, add access codes. So
yes,
you wouldn't necessarily have to build all of that. It's already there. You can just use the entitlements. So you have to check the service. Am I entitled to use this product, or rather, is this user entitled to use this product?
Yep. And we're going to scan a QR code, if you'd be pleased to know. So yeah, again, some of the work we've done in the past, we're going to be able to reuse for sure. So
I was talking to Nathan about that yesterday, actually. So that will get built into that dashboard workflow.
Yes.
That's for scanning a QR code for entitlement, yeah?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Which is different from scanning a QR code to navigate directly to a
from the book page. Yeah. Yes. Okay, right. So this is, jumping in with both feet, I think. Yeah. What we need to do, I think, is to think about this coming sprint. Now, obviously, there's some things carried over from the last sprint. I think I'm going to need your help in terms of mapping out these tasks in terms of, go back to the main thing, these tasks in terms of breaking those down into chunks, really. Right, clear filters. Okay, so as I said, in terms of priorities, it's this work which is actually the main priority, but we can also start to kind of clone the app or create a new little app anyway, I think, and we may, depending on how we're going to split the resources, split the people, also start to look at the student login and registration side.
Okay. Gerald, as you mentioned, right, that login registration. So if you want to use the services for that, so whom, when can we get the link, or whom we need to contact for that service using the services which is used in the Reader Plus app?
So it's, sorry if I understood the question. So the actual component, if you like, you're going to use in that documentation and stuff. Ian, who's the best person to talk to about that, do you think?
Sorry, about which one?
About the registration, yeah. So the dashboard side of it.
Yes. So as you mentioned, so we can use the services, right? That is the app which is using the dashboard, right? You have shown, you have shared a link, right?
I have, yeah.
Yep. So for using the services, whom we need to contact, the details about that login.
The login credentials.
And services.
At the moment, you don't need credentials. You can register and create yourself an account. So create your own. What we may do is organise a meeting with Camille.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea.
It might be worth us speaking to him first and just sort of showing him what it is, what this project is, and then how that will integrate with it and what's actually needed. But it's not what we're doing is not unprecedented. It's exactly the same. This is how the system was developed so that other systems could integrate with it.
Yeah, sorry, we lost you. Yeah, we missed you back.
Sorry, I don't know what you missed, but we'll organise you to meet up with somebody regarding the services for the dashboard and how best to use that, and that'll be an architect who will be able to advise on the best way to do it from a mobile app.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so back to the sprint kind of thing. I think these things they're going to evolve really during the course of the sprint in terms of, I say it's very easy for me to say evaluate in terms of what these tasks might need to be. I think it probably needs you guys to have a bit of a think in terms of whether we can break this down into smaller consumable units, as it were, and who's going to be doing what, and what areas we need to investigate. You know, obviously we need that information, but also we can set up a meeting, set up a meeting with the guys. Or mind you, they're in the States, so the time difference might be a bit of a challenge, but yeah, we'll see about doing that. I attached on here an architecture as well, which in terms of just give us some background of how that whole Reader Plus thing sits. We talked about student registration, and then I think it's probably worth doing at this point, just to give us an outline framework of a new app in terms of how we start to be able to plug these things into. Yeah. So I think if we can get a long way through this in the next 2 weeks, then, or some decent way through this in the next 2 weeks, then I think we're in a good position, because we're going to have more questions and answers for certain to start with. But I think the purpose of the exercise is for you guys to get your head around this, and also, you know, start to think about it from the application viewpoint in terms of how this could and would fly. Are you with me? It's all gone quiet.
Gerald, so you want us to split the 8 to 9, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're the best people to do that, because you've got a much better, more practical sort of view in terms of the sorts of stages you need to go through to do these evaluations.
Okay, but okay, we will go through that architectural document and then let you know, Gerald, because that team is feeling like until we have the SDK and more detail on that, we will not. I mean, it would be difficult to start. So
yeah, okay, I'm with you. So I mean, basically, what I'm kind of saying is, in these 2 weeks, we got this space to just get involved and understand whatever we need to understand. So, you know, my kind of goal for the sprint is to basically get that at least a reasonable level of understanding of A, what we're trying to achieve, and secondly, how we can best achieve that. And at the end of the day, you know, we might find out that eReader Plus doesn't suit. Okay, but in which case we'll change tack. But I think this is the first thing. Actually, is this the appropriate solution for what we're trying to do?
okay, then we will take this as a POS. I mean, the exploration story.
Yes.
We'll take this as a spike for exploring things.
Yep. And you know, there's going to be a lot of refinement going on, obviously, because as you find out more, you're going to break that down more, I think. So,
Okay.
So I know it's broad brush, but you know, I think until we start exploring, we don't know what we know and what we don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's difficult to itemize in terms of saying this is what we need to do. But the approach, I think, you guys have obviously got enough knowledge and experience and confidence to sort of to navigate and propose a way of approaching that.
Okay, Gerald. So we will have to analyze on this Reader Plus and SDK, one thing.
Yep.
And then
Yes.
other than that, we will have to take up the create new app 831 for the sprint, right?
Yes, and also, you know, if we can, depending how you split people, if we can start looking at the login, or if we've got capacity to do that, then that would be reasonable as well.
Okay.
But if not, if there's too much other stuff, that's fine. But I say the goal is in 2 weeks' time. We've got a point where, you know, we have a level of confidence that we're going in the right direction.
Okay.
You know, if we I think we will need interim meetings and stuff. Then let's do that to touch base, or if there's queries and questions, we don't have to wait for 2 weeks, obviously, for that. So, happy to help where we can.
Okay, and Gerald, just a small concern. We would like to have some more acceptance criteria and more detailed description on all 3 stories.
Okay, I will do that. Yeah, okay, I'll do that in the next day or two when I get a chance. Yeah, but you guys, well, you know, you please feel free to add things into those stories as you find out, or split it, or do whatever you think is best.
Sure, Gerald. We need some more time to analyze, and then once we are done, we will plan the sprint by creating some spikes related to 29, 30, and 31, and find out what are the dependencies, and we will let you know as soon as possible, Gerald.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to, you know, touch base when you've done that, and we'd go through those, then absolutely very happy to do that. Yeah.
Sure, Gerald. And one more suggestion by Karthik. Since we are working on a new project for, this Epic, we already have 2 separate projects in Jira. One is for LTOC, and then the other is for Pearson Go. So similarly, he suggested like we can have a new project created in Jira specifically for Epic. Okay. So if it is fine with you, I can create a support ticket.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Yeah, it's neat to do that. And then if you can ship these things across, then that'll be good.
Sure, Gerald. Okay, I'll take care of that thing.
That's good idea.
Okay.
Excellent. Good. Right, exciting times.
Yes.
Yes, so excited.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm going to say good luck, because I think this is great. I think we got the talent, and we got the experience, and we got the energy to actually make a really, really good product here. And we got lots of support from the user community as well, in terms of they're very happy to be led by our decisions. So I think we're quite empowered to actually move forward with this, which is really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, David, for joining. We appreciate that.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Planning to visit Chennai?
I think it's going to be at the end of August now, actually. Just because I'm on holiday beginning of August. I think we might, if we I think a workshop session is possible, but we need to do that remotely. I say it should have been next week, but since I decided to fall off my bike, that's all gone pear-shaped. So. Anyway. Okay.
David, when do you start? Proper.
As of August, but if necessary, I can start a bit earlier. But I'm on vacations for the coming 1.5 weeks. But if you need me for anything, for example, to take part in any conferences or something, then if I'm available, then I will do my best to join you. And I'm starting.
It was really your start date. I'm sort of wondering when you were officially starting.
Officially on the 1st of August.
1st of August. Okay.
Cool. Good.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Gerald. Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Ian. Bye.
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 Bye.